Typhoon Nika, also known as Toraji internationally, is just now nearing landfall when I'm recording this, just around 4 a.m. Philippine time here on Monday morning. And, you know, the eye wall of this just now starting to impact the Casiguran area here. You got the eye still just offshore. Plenty of convection wrapping it around this. So even as far south as Manila, I do expect some passing scattered showers. But the heaviest is going to be just out here ahead of this storm. Now, the Sierra Madre Mountains are going to hit it quite hard. But as this moves on short into Carino across Isabela, it is still going to bring some nasty weather. And for example, places like Iligan, extending across over towards Cauayan right in here, even extending over towards Baguio. This is going to pass right overhead. So yes, it is still at Cat 1. The worst of it will be into the Casiguran area on the east side of the mountains, but this storm's still going to be packing a punch. Let's break it down. And we're also going to break down, of course, everything else going on, because we have what is soon to be called Usagi out here just towards the southwest of Guam. We have Manyi, and we have, well, what is still a very weakened storm system. Wind shear has absolutely blown this thing apart. That is what is left of Typhoon Mars at one point out here, according yeah, the shear just absolutely falling apart with that storm system. So let's go back to the storm at hand, currently making landfall. Now, here's some good news, I suppose, if there is good news with this storm, is that there is a bit of shear that has increased on this storm, and thus the just kind of estimate for Dvorak analysis on it has caused it to peak up here at typhoon intensity, and now it's actually kind of borderline cat. It was up to about a cat 2. Now it's borderline severe tropical storm cat 1 intensity. Still damaging winds, but it hasn't rapidly intensified further right up the landfall, which is fantastic news. Still going to be packing a punch though. Once again, I don't like pointing stuff out like that because it is still packing a punch here with Toraji. It's going to be tracking across Luzon, moving off towards the west, re-emerging as we go ahead into Tuesday morning, and then eventually moving off towards the north and west. And this is interesting. See how this goes from a typhoon to a tropical storm to a depression to a remnant low, according to Pagasa. A very similar path that we have seen with our current typhoon out in that area. It's just the same setup. It's going to move towards northwest, hit that shear, and then just basically significantly weaken out as it heads off into that direction. So here's your signal force warnings at this time, according to Pagasa. Signal force 3 is in place for Isabela, extending all the way back towards Abra. Basically, signal force 3 indicates that chance of typhoon strength winds. That's kind of think of 3 as if you were in the States, a hurricane warning being in place versus a tropical storm warning, which is 1 and 2. 4 and 5 is more like we're talking about Cat 4, Cat 5 type territory. Here's a look at the track from the Japan Meteorological Agency, though, and like I said, re-emerging here heading into Thursday morning, moving off towards the north and west, and then that shear just basically starting to rip it apart. Yingxing, also known as Mars, weakening out towards the south and west here. All right, so let's just actually take a little bit closer look at the higher resolution data. This is heading through your day on Monday, basically tracking, as I mentioned, that path, pushing right over the Cagayan Valley, re-emerging as we go ahead into Tuesday morning, and vastly improving conditions as it pulls away, albeit while that all takes place, we're looking at heavy rainfall and parts around Baguio in the mountains here. This could be about 200 to 300 millimeters of total precipitation as it pushes overhead, but I think the Casiguran area could be looking at 300 to 400 millimeters in the mountains of the Sierra Madres there, which naturally is enough to cause flooding. Also, my worry, I've said this a few times, is the Cagayan River rising, which is going to be a major issue here too. So yeah, there's plenty of impacts with the storm system. Still a potent one continuing to move up here towards the west. Now, I do want to actually show you this though. Let's pull back the picture and we're going to look ahead. Well, actually, first, let's kind of walk through the timeline here. So this is through the GFS model, showing our storm system come on shore. You have Yingxing weakening out here towards the west. West, also known as Mars. I hate flip-flopping the names, but I try to use them both. Meanwhile, you have our next storm, which is going to hit the shear right in here, and then we have another one back behind it. Now, this one is going to be called Usagi, or Ofel in the Philippines. It has not been named yet. Manyi, by the way, remnants of that will be moving across Guam and Saipan, bringing some heavy rainfall for them there too. But this is my main concern, is Usagi, which, as we know, Sailor Moon's name also means rabbit in Japanese. Fun fact. It's some of my Japanese I learned from living there for almost a decade. So, yeah, here's looking ahead into Thursday morning. The GFS and the ECMWF both agreeing on a very similar track. I mean, and that's no surprise. People are saying, you know, why? Why is it back to back to back? Because these storms are taking place in such similar time frames that the general kind of overall flow is not changing. So with our next storm, it's still on track to be making landfall here, probably around Isabela, Santa Ana, moving across Cagayan. Again, the Sierra Madre Mountains, thankfully, are going to disrupt this just like the last one. And the Cagayan Valley may not be even seeing high winds, but still the range of impacts that we have been seeing over and over and over again. And yeah, it's still ongoing, guys. My goodness. Taking a look at the broader picture, though, here we go. So we have our storm system here. We have the other ones. That is what's going to be Usagi. And let's take a look at the models, because this is what I was talking about, that high pressure ridge right here. And here's your conveyor belt running just like that along the southern edge of that. Watch our time frame. This is heading into Wednesday night through early Thursday morning. Winds picking up as this clips northeastern Luzon. GFS, very similar path, but a little bit further towards the south, while Manyi down here towards the south. That might get named by Bagasa, but it is going to be continuing to weaken out. Don't go anywhere just yet. I do want to say we got some new people, including Steve right here on our Patreon. If you like these updates, this is my third one today. It takes time. I woke up at 3 a.m. this morning before I headed to work so I could put out an update for you guys. I mean, these videos are getting 30, 40,000 views a piece, so try my best to just, you know, keep the information flowing. It feels like you guys find it useful. If you do, first off, hit that subscribe button. Second, please check out the Patreon. I'll never ask. I'll never put this stuff behind a paywall. But if you can help out, I appreciate it. So just want to say that. For now, though, yeah, we still got that onshore flow. Watching these winds come around Apari, Santa Ana already starting to pick up there. Ligon's got a pretty decent rain band kicking on through. And the core of the storm, though, the worst of the storm, is still just offshore. But conditions are going to be going downhill really quick here when you get that inner eye wall trying to come on shore. But thankfully, you know, I think it's almost going through an eye wall replacement cycle a bit here. So it's kind of like I said in the beginning of the update, it's steadied off on intensity. But still, look at that. Casiguran getting those bands. Catanduanas is also going to be wrapping. And well, they had it a little bit earlier. It looks like the core of this is going to stay north of the NCR, but I do think places like Pangasinan for sure, because this is tracking in just like that. What you're going to be seeing is actually those winds come in like this. And we actually saw something like this with Christine, where we had a storm surge potential in the bay there. So that's something for coastal areas of Pangasinan I am a little concerned about, those waters getting pushed on shore here ahead of the storm as it tracks overhead. So another thing that you have to kind of keep in mind, it's not just the East Coast, but the West Coast does look at those impacts too. So lots and lots to talk about. I'll try to have another update here coming up soon once the sun rises and this does make landfall as it starts to traverse central Luzon. But check out our Patreon. I do want to update the graphic system, although granted, I absolutely love the system from Metro Weather's Weatherscape. There is some other stuff that we can do here, so check it out, please. But number one thing, though, right now, stay safe out there, friends, and I hope you're getting through the storm just fine wherever you are.